The snake had bitten his wrist. Crotalus Atrox, diamondback pit viper, coiled like a knotted muscle, and he had come too close to home. Calls for the surgeon, 2 days away, rattled the pine supports as my father staggered through doorways he had cut with his own hands, squared with his own hands, and nailed with his own hands, hands like wood, like rule, like death. And now, just above the left, were 2 puncture points swelling to burst. I followed him through his hallways, silent as smoke, because he had insisted we leave him be. His left arm dangled cautiously away from his side like wildfire, and though it looked swollen, I kept thinking maybe it was just muscle. Father hauled hay bales the size of the sun before daybreak. He had always seemed indestructible, but I knew I was wrong when I saw his opposite fist balancing the pain with furious panic. He needed to find the whiskey. His tongue still tasted the venom, and the burgundy bottle held the only wash corrupt enough to cure. Stomping through the kitchen, he threw open cabinets and cursed them bare. Abandoning manners, he'd spank me for letting slip, as if mother wasn't right there, begging his name. She coaxed him into letting her wrap the wound. Father's face was molten stoicism as he nodded his approval, his compliance only in exchange for solitude. Words were not said. But I caught him when her eyes were on the bandage. My father painted 20 years into the wrinkles on the back of her eyelids, but when she was done, he let the front door give his thanks. Ripened by the glow of the corona, he found the fruits of death, excusable self-neglect at 80 proof, lying where he left it, the porch. And there he sat, definitively. I was peeking from the screen door, but when my father hit that rocker, I thought judgment had come. I popped out like he was going to disappear right then, but he wasn't dead yet. His jaw slacked when he saw me shaking. He told me, sit. No questions, no tears. We just rocked in our chairs, letting the tune of the air switch shifts while his right hand drank that whole bottle. He promised he would wake me in a little while. He was wide-eyed and shaking when I left the world for tomorrow, but morning came, and his rocker no longer had its captain to navigate. The core of the whiskey bottle had returned to the porch, and my father was gone. I entered the house, silent as smoke, to find my mother in the living room, 20 years painted into the wrinkles on the back of her eyelids. She raised them when I entered. I asked her, and she said, Father was down in the barn, hauling hay bales with his one good arm. Apparently, this wasn't the first time he'd been bitten by a snake, and so I was right. My father is indestructible.